Hello everybody, and welcome to Pravus Gaming and Steamed, the series where I go through my Steam library and find the games that I bought but never had a chance to play. Northgard, developed by Shiro Games, released earlier this year. If you ever wondered what you would end up with if you took a slower-paced RTS, mixed in some city-building survival mechanics similar to Banished, and then kind of had more of a civilization feel for expansion across the map and management of strategic resources, well, this is what you'd end up with. Something like Northgard. It is slower paced, it is easy to learn but very difficult to master, and definitely has a lot of replayability. Let's go ahead and start up a single-player campaign over here, and I'm going to go ahead and just stay as Sven with orange. Now, the world is quite hostile, and you can change the level of hostility. There's a lot of wolves and other things that will want to kill you. We're going to leave it probably on just medium, I would think. And there's a special map released right now for winter called Permafrost. I'm only going to have one opponent, because multiple opponents tend to make things very, very difficult, I find. Now, you have to choose which clan you want to play as. There are a few. You can see they have different starting bonuses and fame bonuses. That is to say, as you progress through the game, you'll get some extra perks. Quite a few different clans to choose from, as you can see, and they have different play styles. Some are more aggressive, some are more economic. The Bjarki, who we will be playing as, the clan of the bear, is pretty good at surviving winters and has some early game defense, which I find that I really like. And welcome to Northgard. Right off the bat, we're going to build ourselves a scout camp, because I know that I'm going to need to explore the map. So, here are some basic mechanics you need to understand. This town hall, you can see it's already producing villagers for me. You do not build your own. It is tied to the happiness mechanic. And as you expand and build certain types of buildings, you will get more happiness, which increases your growth rate. Very important to manage that. What I just finished here is a scout camp. Now, here's one major deviation from an RTS. You cannot use your standard units just to march around through the fog of war, like you see right here. You have to use your scouts to explore various different territories, which is what our scout is doing right now. And once he is done, he will unveil a chunk of the map, and then we'll be able to enter it as we desire. Just like that. Okay, so in this particular territory, I see a couple of wolves guarding a rune stone, which would allow me to get some lore. Are you building a snowman? This is not a productive use of time. You're supposed to be getting food. That's a perk of the Permafrost map, but it's fine. So right now, I'm not really doing much with my villagers. I am trying to explore some of the surrounding areas first to find out if there are any forests or anything else I can use to get more resource production. I want to know what options I have available to me before I start committing resources to a bunch of buildings. Right here, we see fertile land. Actually, this is good enough to colonize right off the bat. Fertile land allows you to build farms. It's the only place you can build farms, and it gives extra food during the summer. It also has some stone, which will be a very valuable resource later. Now, colonization, as you just saw, once you have explored a territory, if you are boarded with it and there are no hostile mobs, you can spend food to immediately colonize it. Now, kind of early on here, I'm going to go ahead and build a house in my new province right over here, because I don't want to get stuck with my population cap, since obviously you don't want to lose any time getting extra population from your town hall. That adds up to being something pretty bad. Now, there's some ruins over here in this province, which is interesting. It's a one-time benefit. If you colonize the area, you can have your scout explore and get some free resources. I don't think it's usually worth prioritizing the ruins too much. It's a nice bonus, but if it's a terrible province in other ways, not worth it. Now, in this case, I see that I don't have any forests nearby. I do have deer, but no forests. So I went ahead and placed down a woodcutter's camp in my primary territory. If there was a forest territory nearby, I would have colonized that first, and that would have given me a 10% boost to all wood production in the area, but we did not get lucky with that. I'm going to go ahead and position Kaija, my armored bear, a unique unit of the clan of the bear over there, to defend against any wolf attacks. And I do think we will want to expand into the deer pasture pretty early on. There's a good amount of food that you can get out of that, but we're kind of hamstrung by our lack of population. We just have to sit back and wait for a little while. Now, your villagers, if they don't have anything to do, will automatically start gathering food and just foraging off of the ground, which is pretty important. You will use it a lot. This is a lore master for a runestone, and that unlocks the lore mechanic. This is your tech tree, basically. It unlocks various different perks for your colony, such as sharp axes, weaponsmith, and trading. Do you want to focus more economic, more population-focused, more weapon-focused, and so on? Ultimately, you can get a bunch of them and then get these blessings. If you unlock, I think, a total of 15 perks, you get ancestral knowledge and just straight up win the game. That's how you get a wisdom victory. Focus a lot on the lore. Kind of like the culture victories of Civilization. And you're going to notice a lot of themes that seem sort of familiar to Civilization. It will have that kind of a feel to it. But with the micromanagement and resource building of Banished. Now, I'm going to go ahead and use my my bear to clear out these wolves so I can colonize this region. Not because I'm too worried about getting the ruins, but because, one, it has stone, and two, I see some fish down here in the corner, which is a very good food source because you can continue generating the full amount of food during winter. Let's go ahead and place down a quick farm. That'll get extra food during the summer. Now, there are seasons in this game, and winter can be absolutely brutal. Obviously, there's not as much food to forage. Your farms aren't working. You have to burn a lot. I don't know what that is, by the way. There's something huge over there. Huh. You have to burn a lot of food as firewood. Winters can really mess up your resources, and you do always need to stockpile for winter. What is this thing going to be? Whoa. It is a giant purple mass of something. I'm going to go ahead and get that ruin. What is it? A Wyvern. Most fearsome of ancient creatures roaming the lands of Northgard. Huh. If we kill it, we get a lot of fame and military experience, which is nice, but it's really tanky. Jeez. I'm not sure we want to do that, but I've never seen that before, and I've done like 6 games of this so far. Wow. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and have a couple of different people working in the farms. They get extra food during the summer, and it is August, so that gives me more food than foraging. So that's certainly worth it to us right now. Let's also look at, well, let's see. What do I want to build? I think I want to go ahead and build out the Fisherman's hut and place it next to the fish over here. It doesn't generate any more food than foraging, but because winter normally cuts down your food production by a lot, fish is a good way to get around that. And also, as the Clan of the Bear, I know that we will get perks from our lore that let me buff up the Fisherman eventually, so getting that is going to be very valuable, I think. Okay, there's the Fisherman's hut. Now, one thing that annoys me is once you finish building it, it doesn't automatically assign people. It does that so it doesn't accidentally micromanage people, but so I understand why the developers didn't. But then I have to make sure I go track those people down. I do think I want to colonize the deer area as well. Similar to the fish, where you can place down a Fisherman's hut, you can place down a hunter's lodge in the deer area, and they will also be a good food source during the winter, just like the fish. So we're actually looking pretty solid in terms of food right now. What I don't have is a ton of extra lumber. But that's okay, we can live with that. I may actually want to colonize up north to the runestone, too, and get the lore. That could be pretty good. Let's make sure we don't get population capped. I'm going to go ahead and place down another house over right here, I think. We are under attack. Yep, that does happen. Wolves from nearby areas can attack you. We did get some money and lore, which is enough to get me our first perk. I think I'm going to go for the sharp axes. I do like getting extra economic production kind of early on. So that's the ruin. That's it. It's got no other use from here on out. So... boom. Nice to have, not a big deal, really. Anyway, yeah, okay. So one thing you do need to keep in mind, each of these provinces do have a limited number of building spots available. You can place them anywhere in the territory, but you can only have so many buildings per, I guess, province or whatever. Our home area can have 5. A couple of these only have 2, some have 4, some have 3. You do have to be very careful about that. Sometimes it is worth expanding into a province that just has a lot of building slot potential, so you can place down a lot of your military buildings, healers' huts, and so on. Actually, I'm realizing up to the north had that runestone, but so does the deer patch. That also has a runestone. Huh. Yeah, expanding to the southeast is definitely worth it. So, if you haven't already noticed, the cost of colonizing increases. It used to be 20, then it was 40, now it's 80. It keeps doubling. And it gets more and more expensive to progress and take more and more land. And, you know, as your population grows and consumes more food, by the way, here's a forest. Well, then I'm definitely going in this direction. That's pretty good. You definitely have to be careful as to how you expand. You do not want to simply blob and grab everything you can. You need to be very selective because eventually you're going to get to a point where it costs a good 500 or plus food for every extra territory. And you have to ask that question, is this actually going to provide the strategic benefit that I need for the short term and the long term to survive? And if it is not, it's just a blank pasture that gives you no particular benefit and you don't need building slots, then it's probably not worth it. I'm going to go ahead and place down a longship dock. Now, I do want to be able to generate some money. Money is going to be important so we can equip people with weapons later, and we're going to need a lot of it. You can also develop your land to get 1 extra building slot just once. There's a couple different ways of getting crones, I think is what they're called. Crowns is the money. You can either build up a trading post, or you can go raiding with your Viking longships, which is what I'm going to do. And the additional benefit of having a longship dock, not only do you get crones, but you also get either lore or fame. I would like to have some extra lore production because I do tend to focus a lot on that, and I haven't really got much so far. By the way, there's a circle of stones over here, and I also see an NPC faction. It looks like kobolds, and we'll come back to them later. So yeah, I like being able to generate the extra lore or fame in the early game, depending on what I need, and in this case, it's probably going to be lore. So once that's done, I'm going to assign 2 people to go on Viking Raids, which should be right about now. There we go. Pop these 2 in here. Okay, so they're going to board the ship. And we will... See, there they are right there. Happy. Let's go ahead and select our raid option. I'm going to choose probably Lore. Fame is a way to level up and become either a Jarl or a... No, sorry, a Thane or a Jarl. And once you get certain fame bonuses, you unlock those extra perks that we saw at the beginning of the game. But I'm not worried about that right now. We'll kind of generate that on our own. I'm not going for a fame victory. Just Lore should be fine. Let's also consider building a mine over here. And the reason I want the mine is because I want to get the stone. Now, stone is a finite resource. We will not get it forever. Once that mine is depleted, we'll have to demolish the quarry. But stone is useful for upgrading various different buildings. We'll come back to that later, I'm sure. But if we want to upgrade our town hall, for example, it will start producing population a little bit faster. If we were to upgrade our hunter's lodge, we would generate extra food and have extra slots to put more people in the building, and so on. So upgrades become very important, and since it's a finite resource, you have to be very careful. I'm going to go ahead and pick up colonization. So now that we have a 30% reduction in colonizing, I'm going to go ahead and start blobbing out a little bit. I've been holding off for a while, longer than I need to. But if it saves me a good 50 food, then maybe it's worth it. So we'll grab the deer patch first, and then set down some hunter's lodges, probably, well, wait, where is it? There it is. We need more wood. It's fine. We'll come back and get a little bit more wood. And, of course, the lore stone being there, we could assign somebody to it to become a lore master, get that extra lore, which we'll just go ahead and do right now. Send the villagers over here. Now, villagers are stuck in whatever hex you've left them in until you tell them to go otherwise. So, just by placing down the hunter's lodge does not mean a villager is going to run over and start building it. We have to make sure that that person is specifically told to go into their hex and start building whatever it's called, Hunter's Lodge. Let's go ahead and clear out these wolves, because I am going to go ahead and explore up to the north as well. We'll probably grab the second runestone. Runestones, I mean, it's probably not super important for expanding into, but I don't have a lot of better options at the moment. And a little extra lore is nice, and I think it has like 4 building slots. So that's going to be worth it. We'll colonize that for another 80 food. And the colonization perk, you can see, is saving me quite a bit right now, and food is a very precious resource, so absolutely worth it. And right now, we're not actually producing a lot of food, and we're consuming a lot more wood because it is currently winter. Now, as the Clan of the Bear, we have a few perks in winter. Usually, we would be losing a lot more wood and food through the winter, but the Clan of the Bear actually does not suffer quite as much during winter, so it's nice. Here's kobolds, by the way. We apparently found them. We can trade with them, or they will expand to territories, and we'll have to kill them. We'll probably end up killing them. But anyway, yeah, Clan of the Bear. Good in winter. They do not suffer as much as the other clans do, so that's nice. Also, during the winter, most of your troops, if you're any other clan, will have a 30% attack penalty during the winter. You just can't fight as well during winter. The Clan of the Bear has no problem with winter. If anything, we're actually stronger during the winter. We have extra resistances. So attacking other players or other monsters during winter is absolutely the way to go. I'm going to go ahead and move my bear here to the south because I expect that's the next place that wolves might spawn to attack. And I want to be ready to deal with them. Now, a couple of our units are wounded right now. Eventually, we'll want to get a healer's hut, assign someone to be a healer. Very slowly, they can heal your units in your territory. It takes forever, and if you get enough people wounded, then you start losing happiness and you don't grow as fast. So you do have to prioritize all these things. This is the thing about Northgard. I'm trying to tell you here. There's so much micromanagement to do. I'm going to go ahead and pick up recruitment here for the population growth, by the way, which is really nice. There's so much micromanagement that's going on. Oh, crap. We got attacked to the north. Darn it. I misjudged that one. Oh, well. That's fine. You really want to make sure you are managing all your villagers as optimally as you can, stacking as many production benefits as you can. I mean, every additional population will consume a little bit of extra food and lumber, so you have to get a really strong ratio of villagers assigned to food and lumber production. But that doesn't really leave you much left for your military production or for healers or for miners or for anything else. So there's so many trade-offs you have to make. It's difficult to build a strong economy in the game. And honestly, I would say that that is the greatest benefit to this game. It's not as much of a typical RTS where you are trying to simply build up a huge army and crush your enemy. There is combat in the game, but it tends to be reserved more for some early game skirmishes with barbarians like wolves and draugs and so on. But also, mid-game combat becomes quite prevalent. We'll come back to that a little bit later, I'm sure. But building up a strong economy, just surviving winter in and of itself can become a very big challenge. And you have to be able to be a master of that first before you do anything else. And right now you can see my happiness is not looking that great. Actually, if anything, now it's starting to go down because too many people are wounded. So we're going to want to go ahead and build up that healer's hut, like I said. Can't build any of my primary territory because we already have our maximum 5 out of 5 buildings. So I'm going to build it over here where I expect there's a building slot, and I'm not going to need any extra resource production here. We already are taking advantage of the deer. It's not like there's some fish that I'm losing out on by taking up that building slot. So be very careful how you expand in that way as well. So yeah, we'll get ourselves a healer. We'll go ahead and heal up, get our happiness back up. We cannot grow while we are unhappy. And the longer you're unhappy, the more of your villagers will start producing less and less. So it can stack up to become something really bad. Happiness is a huge resource you have to manage. There we go. We have a healer assigned. Okay, so the healer should automatically start healing anybody in your territory one at a time, and it tends to always prioritize your military units with high health bars, like my bear. So I may prefer that they quickly heal up, say, my fisherman, so that I can get rid of this whole wounded happiness penalty. But no, they're not going to do that unless we move the bear into some other land. Oh well, not much you can do. It's a very slow process. Having multiple healers is good. Don't know if I need hibernation. During the winter, we heal up. That's nice. I think I'm going to go for miner efficiency because miners can extract extra from ore deposits. And since ore deposits are a finite resource, I want to get as much out of that as possible. I'm losing out on some short-term benefits and hoping that the long-term benefits will outweigh it. You can see, by the way, that over time I now have 5 villagers in the bottom right over there that are unhappy. And that's making it really, really difficult for me to actually have any production. They get like a 20% penalty just because we're at -1 happiness and it's been there for so long. We're going to go ahead and clear out these extra wolves, make sure they can't spawn from this region and go into my, my citizens' area. But also I want to grab the forest since I think at some point soon we're going to want some extra lumber production. So let's go ahead and pick this up. Now, because we're on the Permafrost winter map, I think the big tree there should become all festive in a moment. Yep, there it is. Beautiful. Yuletide. And we are now a Thane, which gives us a few extra perks. Namely, our armored bear can sit in a region and give extra production by 15%. Something I forget about a lot. I have, by the way, no idea what a shield maiden is or how to get it. I've never found it, and I've been playing this for a little bit. So there's probably a way. Up in the top left, you can see, by the way, that the sea is going to freeze this winter. Almost every year, there is some sort of a challenge that is going to occur. Sometimes it's rats, and if you don't have any food silos, they'll eat a lot of your food and cause disease. Sometimes it's an earthquake, and it will damage a bunch of your buildings, and so on. In this case, it's just going to shut down my Viking longboats for a little bit, which is not a huge deal, but I am going to lose out on some extra lore and money for pretty much the entire winter. Kind of sucks. The worst one to get, and I find, is the blizzard, because then you start really consuming a lot of food and winter. Even as the Clan of the Bear, it is crippling, and you really need to stock up on a ton of food and lumber. Otherwise, everyone gets sick from starvation, and you just straight up lose. So I just upgraded my town hall using some of the stone, since we do have enough now. And that is going to increase my villager production by another 20% or so. Getting a high population is such a huge advantage in this game. I prioritize it a lot. Maybe I prioritize it too much. I'm not sure. But I do like getting that kind of early on. I also tend to upgrade our healers' huts so I can get extra healing capabilities. Let's go ahead and get a second Woodcutter's Lodge with a 10% bonus over here, by the way. That's pretty substantial. And I also tend to prioritize upgrading things like breweries, where I can get extra happiness, and so on. The healers getting an extra 100% in and of itself is a huge advantage and should not be underestimated. Let's see, what should I go for my next perk? Harpoons is good for extra fishermen. So you get an extra person on the Fisher's Lodge, and you get extra production. But I think I'm going to go for the Weaponsmith because right now the bear is my only protection, and I could start building out military buildings and assigning people there, but it consumes a fair bit of money, and they're not producing any other resources in the meantime. So by getting Weaponsmith, it's a good early game defense by doing another 20% damage, and I think that there is, it lets me kind of put off getting a military a little tiny bit longer and focusing on the economy, which alone I think is a pretty nice advantage. All right, the wolf's trying to chase me out. Now you can see here, because there are no defending units in this territory, it is gradually falling out of my control. If we did not defend this, then it would revert back to neutral. This is also the way that you attack other players. You send your troops into their land, they automatically engage anybody there and kill them. If they succeed, then you start gradually chipping away at your enemy's control of the region, and it flips back to neutral. That's a good way of forcing them to use up a lot of food trying to recolonize regions. What's really disappointing about it is that I don't just simply conquer the region and take it over for myself. That would be far more convenient, because now I have to spend the resources to grab it myself, and if I don't, the AI keeps doing it, and it takes a while to flip a province. So it just gets really annoying. Combat and conquest and territorial expansion is a very slow process. It really is a lot more about raiding and harassing your enemy than outright conquering and all their territory, which may actually be appropriate for a Viking-themed game. I don't know. But I do know that the combat can be a little slow, a very tug-of-war, very king of the hill, and get annoying at times. Still, there's no denying that it's a very good way to harass your enemies and force them to commit a lot of resources to holding territory that otherwise maybe is not worth it for them. Now, I'm going to go ahead and build a brewery over here because I'm having trouble maintaining my happiness. Happiness is a really good way to kind of judge how fast you ought to be expanding because you get 1 happiness for every new province you take. So if you're going below into the negative, it probably means that you're not expanding quite fast enough to keep up. But at some point, it's not really practical because of the food costs. The way to get around that, then, is to build the brewery and assign people there. It produces another 2 food each. Unless you upgrade it, which gives them, I think, 2.5 or 3 happiness each, and an extra slot. So you can generate a good 9 to 10 extra happiness in a brewery if you get it fully upgraded and get some extra tools. I am going to send my bear to start clearing out these wolves. There are only 3 in this province. I imagine I'm going to need to expand out here relatively soon. It does have a circle of stones, which allows for 2 extra lore masters. We may end up going for a lore master victory, simply because I did start off with a couple of really good lore sources nearby. By the way, you can see that my Viking longship is just stuck in the ice. It's not going anywhere. Anyway, brewery's done. Let's assign someone there, and they're going to spend their time sitting around and drinking and making everyone happy for it. Because that's how it works, and it makes sense. Vikings. Okay, we have this territory. I'm not sure I'm going to use it right away, but we are now bordered up with these kobolds. So if I killed them, I would get some extra army experience, which might get me some military perks. Also, it would get me the fame to level up to a Jarl a little bit sooner, which is nice. You can trade with kobolds, and they give you better money than trading with players. Still, the biggest problem with kobolds is they tend to expand on their own, and they can be aggressive. They're like a neutral other player. We're going to go for the harpoons, I think. So not only do we get extra production... Actually, hang on. Let's also grab Freya's Blessing, because we did get 6 perks. So we have less food loss and lumber loss during the winter, which is a really nice benefit. Anyway, yeah, so we're going to go ahead and assign an extra person. Now, instead of 2 people at the Fisherman's Hut, we can have 3. And if we start building silos and other perks in that region, we'll find that we get a lot of extra food from this Fisherman's Hut, which is pretty darn nice. Okay, so this miner has nothing to do anymore because we have exhausted the stone deposit. So let's demolish this building, free up that building slot. I'll have to find something else. I'm thinking a silo, because that will get me an extra 10% food production in this province only. And since there is a farm during the summer producing extra food, stacking that bonus can certainly be nice. Alternatively, we could build it down by the fish, but I'm looking at that stone down there and thinking I'm going to take up the building slot with a mine. And then once the stone is exhausted, then I'll demolish the mine, and then I'll build a silo. See, here I can see a wolf is charging into my territory here. 3 people alone can usually deal with a wolf. They'll be injured, but if you have a healer around, not really that big of a deal. You should be able to survive. 1 villager on their own certainly is going to die to a wolf. So it does sort of pay to stack up a little bit on a territory with a good 2 or 3 different resource-generating buildings in that region in order to make sure you have a rudimentary defense. Up here you can see the Draugrs. They are undead zombie Vikings, basically. And they will spawn and kill you, and they are far more dangerous than the wolves. So I don't know if we're going to clear them out anytime soon, but they're going to be a constant source of harassment. Let's build up the other mine. We're going to take advantage of the stone. Once the stone is gone, I'll delete this, and then build up a silo for an extra 10% resource generation with 3 fishermen. Now, I've picked up a special perk that exists just for the Clan of the Bear, and it allows me to get some extra happiness for every province with at least 1 military building inside of it. You don't get any extra benefit for building a whole bunch of military buildings in one province. You want to spread them out a little bit, but you get an extra 1 happiness for each province that has a military building. That does allow me to manage my happiness without diverting too many extra resources to breweries. But even then, I'm going to go ahead and spend some stone to upgrade this brewery, as you just saw, which opens up a 3rd slot so we can have extra happiness, and it boosts everyone's happiness production by, is it 50%? So yeah, now we're getting a lot more extra happiness. Also, as time goes on, your Vikings will start to demand better homes, which means you have to start diverting some stone to those houses in order to upgrade them. Stone becomes a very important resource just to manage your happiness as time goes on. It's not just about economic production. You may also be wondering why stack up extra happiness then? Why convert so many resources there? You do generate your population, a little bit faster for the happier you are. So I'm okay with focusing even more resources and generating happiness if it means that I'm going to get my population up a little bit faster. Territory's under attack. The kobolds are attacking my circle. Well, crud. I don't know if one bear can handle 4 kobolds. Maybe he can. He's injured. Oh, no, he's not. That's the villager. All right, we're going to go ahead and assign a couple of villagers then to our brand new training ground, and they will become giant axemen. Proper Vikings. And they are going to have to go kill the kobolds along with Kaija, the armored bear. Now, every time we assign a villager to any sort of military building, it does cost some money just to equip them. Even if we then send them back to becoming villagers so they can produce resources, we still lose that money. So either you want to have a really good strong defense with your bear or with towers so you don't need a military, and then you can justify spiking your economic production and never equip people until the mid-game. Or once you have equipped them, you kind of want to keep them there so you don't lose a lot of money. But sometimes that's not an option. Sometimes you have to equip people for the short term, lose a lot of money just to defend your territory, and then send them right back to being villagers, say goodbye to 100 crowns. It just happens that way sometimes. There's not much you can do. We're going to build a trading post over here, which will allow me to assign extra villagers to generate extra crowns, since right now my Viking longboats are not enough to actually maintain my money needs right now. And by the way, it looks like the kobolds have been expanding quite a bit. Huh. We're going to want to clear these guys out, and I do have a couple of troops available right now, so we might as well make use of them while they're here. Maybe wait a little bit for my healer to do his job, or maybe assign some extra warriors. You know what? An axe thrower. Ranged units. I like those. All right, let's see. What do I want to get? I think I'm going to go for trading to get extra chrome production. It also would allow me to get trade routes, which I don't always make use of because I find I don't have a huge excess of resources. We could sell food to the kobolds. You cannot spend money to get food. That's where you have to build a special building. I think it's the marketplace. But we could sell resources to get money. That's the thing we can do. The earthquake just happened that they foretold months ago, so let's make sure we repair all of our buildings. It just cost me a little bit of lumber, otherwise not a huge deal. Since we have a small army already equipped, let's go clear out some of these kobolds, so they don't try to expand into me again. Now, you can absolutely micro your units. This guy's getting a little bit low, for example, so if we wanted to, we could have him retreat into our territory, and they don't charge into your own territory. And then he can just sit there and heal while the healer does his thing. So now that we've cleared out the kobolds, this place automatically flips back to neutral, so nobody owns it anymore. If we clear out all the kobolds, that's how we'll get the extra fame. And what else was it? Money? I don't know. Something. Let's go clear out a few more kobolds. Now, the kobolds didn't have to clear this area, so there's still a giant brown bear that can do some serious damage. I'm probably going to try to kill just a couple more kobolds, and then I want to retreat before I lose any units. You can imagine, since it takes so long to get any villagers, that it actually really hurts to lose anybody. Now, we did get enough military experience from combat to get a perk. I'm going to go ahead and choose Tactician, I think, but let me show you exactly why. It gives you different perks here, so you can have extra defense for war chiefs or your units and so on. Every different path is a little bit different. We'll choose one path, and then as we gain military experience, and you can see in the top right that limit has changed to 1,500, it unlocks new perks. Now, I have no idea if Tactician works with the Clan of the Bear, because it's supposed to work with your war chief. I don't know if the bear counts as my war chief, but we'll find out. This, by the way, is a special eagle. It is a special event that only occurs if you colonize a province with him injured in it, and then heal him up. Then he'll fly around and explore things for a little while, which is nice. I've done that in one of my games before. It explores a pretty big chunk of the map. Aha! I found some red Vikings. They are trying to colonize a region I just cleared of kobolds. Okay. If we can kill all of them so that they abandon the region, they're going to lose their colonization progress. I don't know if they actually lose their food from doing so, but I can at least deny them getting that circle. The problem is, because I don't have enough food to grab it for myself, and I'm not even sure if I would if I could, they will always be trying to get this darn thing, which means I'm always going to be harassing them. So we just found our front line against the red player, where I'm going to have to harass them for the rest of the game. And they will always be sending military units over here to try and take it. It's a good way for us to kill off some of their villagers, but man, does it get annoying. Oh, we're also being attacked up there by some Draugrs. Okay, we're going to have to go kill them too before we lose that province. Run, everybody! Run, run, run! One thing I will say that this game absolutely has going for it is the art and the music. Really solid soundtrack. I love the art style. I mean, the pacing may be slower than a lot of players would like. You know, if you're used to something like Age of Empires and you want to have quick, like, 30-minute skirmishes, this may not be the game for you, because a good skirmish could easily take a good hour and a half or more. This will be actually pretty short, simply because I only have one other person to deal with. If I had to manage attacks from, let's say, 3 other players at the same time, this would become really drawn out and long and annoying. But, yeah, I mean, the game's slow-paced, but it's really beautiful to look at. It's really well made and crafted, and the mechanics are solidly built. I really have to think that this is a solid game. Yeah, so Red has expanded into 2 more provinces over here. That's so much food that they've had to commit to this. I mean, you'd think that they'd be freaking broke by now, but I don't know. Well, either way, we're going to keep some troops. I can't send my bear into their territory, by the way, until I unlock my next perk. But we are going to have some troops in both of these provinces. Just keep someone here, start ticking that timer down, and I'm going to force them to lose 2 provinces, which should be several hundred food lost for them. Yet somehow, in my experience, the AI seems to have no problem whatsoever retaining their food. I have no idea what they're doing right that I'm doing wrong, but it doesn't seem to matter. I mean, if I lost a single province, it would really freaking hurt. But for the AI, it doesn't matter how many times I take the same thing over and over and over again, they seem to do just fine. Clearly, there's something I have not figured out about this game and how it works. I'd like to know, but for now, oh well. Ah, they're sending their war chief after me. This guy does a lot of damage. I'm going to go ahead and micro this guy out of the way so he chooses a new, healthier target so we don't lose anybody. I can always heal them later, but waiting for a villager to respawn, we still lost someone. Waiting for a villager to respawn sucks. Hey, I'm a Jarl! Now the bear awakens and I can actually send the bear into their territory. Awesome. Alright, we're going to go ahead and improve some tools because I do have enough iron, and I'm thinking the fishermen make the most sense. You can see right now that we have 4 people assigned there. If we did that, that would get an extra 15% of extra fish. There's a lot of other options, though. You can make their sailors more effective, get extra lore from your lore masters, happiness from your brewers, healing speeds up quite a bit for your healers. There's a lot of good stuff. But I am thinking that fish is the way to go. So iron, again, is a finite resource and very precious. Getting a lot of upgraded tools can give you a huge advantage. It also takes 10 iron to upgrade your troops and make them more effective. That can become very potent as well. What do you want next? Better lore masters? I'm going to focus on just getting a lot of lore. I think that we're going to end up going for the wisdom victory here. I just had too many advantages allowing me to stack up a lot of extra lore production. I think that's ultimately how we're going to win the game, because I don't think conquest is a very viable or, frankly, fun way of winning. It just takes too dang long to harass your opponent until they die. We do have to worry about this bear here, but you can see I'm just going to micro my units out of there, and he won't chase me. So I can heal them, make sure my bear goes in first and he becomes the target, and then use my other units as DPS. That way I'm not going to lose anything, I just have to sit around and heal later. Oh good, we have a new ability for getting enough military experience. Again, bodyguards for a war chief that I have no idea how to build, and as the clan of the bear, I'm not sure if I have any way to do that. So I don't know if the bear counts as my war chief and now he gets extra stuff. There's probably a way to get a war chief. I just don't know what it is. Let's build a defensive tower in this province I just grabbed here. Because I'm going to use the extra circles to get extra lore, so we're going to go for that victory. Now, the good news about defense towers is, though they do cost some wood and gold, or crowns, sorry, they do not use up your building slots. So theoretically, oh gosh, 3 draugs? Run away. Theoretically, you could have a defensive tower in every province, and that would be a good way to kind of defend yourself if you can get enough lumber and money to keep it going. Okay, Red is attacking me. Good thing I built that tower. That is his war chief right there. That's the unit I don't know how to build. It's a really strong infantry unit that does a lot of extra damage. Pretty good to have. I do think they set my tower on fire. I think it will constantly take damage until we repair it. So that becomes very annoying. Easy way to lose a lot of resources. But since he already lost 2 of his units, let's go ahead and counterattack. We're going to go ahead and start harassing him here, try to take this province away from him. And he's also trying to build a tower of his own. Okay, well, if we destroy that before it's built, that makes it that much easier to continue harassing. I really cannot stress enough just how much I love the look of this game, and the music is really good. It does actually remind me a little bit of Banished, which kind of makes me wonder a little bit about the origins of Banished, and maybe there is supposed to be sort of a similar theme to it. It's just not really well fleshed out, I don't know. But it's really good. It's fun to listen to. Hey, you didn't get here in time to save your territory. Sucks to be you, Red. No, don't worry. He'll just keep spending 500 food to recolonize that again and again and again, and won't suffer at all for it. Oh, he's trying to get in there right now to take it. Now! Now! It's mine! I frickin' took it. All right. Ooh, Winter Festival. During winter, you consume even less food, and you get happiness because you have a festival. That's one of those unique perks for the bear. The bear is really strong, I think. It has such good early game defense. It manages its winter really well. Let's go ahead and get rid of this mine since the iron's gone. But, again, other ones have different various perks. For example, the clan of Fenrir, the wolf. They are quite good at military conquest, and you have happiness for your military units. Very good at harassing other people and making sure you take a lot of their stuff. In a multiplayer game with like 3 or 4 other players, that could become very, very strong. Others are focused on getting a lot of extra tools and feasts. Some are focused on just generating extra fame, which I don't think is all that strong, but you never know. I mean, yeah, every clan plays a little different. Now, the developers have released a bit of DLC, like $5 to unlock different clans. Right now, there are 2 extra. There's the Clan of the Snake and the Clan of the Dragon, which I imagine are strong because they are DLC, and I imagine have really interesting different play styles. I haven't experienced them, and I probably never will. But, you know, it's cool that they keep adding more content to the game. I don't know. I'm not sure I'm a big fan of spending $5 just to unlock a new race. But if you're really into this game, I mean, maybe that's worth it to you. I don't know. So we got some extra iron, so I'm going to go ahead and make sure we've upgraded everyone. The Lore Masters are now going to be 15% more effective, which means we are now generating 25. I don't know what that means. 25 per month? 25 lore per month? I don't know. It's pretty good, though. You can see that they've recolonized this province already. I'm telling you guys, this game really is not as much about conquest and pushing your guy back and destroying their home. It's... Oh, let's make sure we don't lose these units. We'll play Ring Around the Rosie over here for a little bit, I guess. It's really not about pushing back and just killing your opponent's base. I mean, it can be done, but it's just difficult because you can only move forward one province at a time, and it takes forever. I don't know. Conquest is not that fun. But again, it does mean you have an RTS that, for some reason, is a lot more of a city builder survival economic simulator. More so than it is just military conquest. And for some people, that's going to be a really appealing change. It is certainly a change of pace. It kind of redefines a little bit of what the RTS genre can be, which I certainly do appreciate. All right, we actually have enough perks to get Yord's Blessing. That is the 3rd one, gets me some extra stone and iron. So that's 3 of the 4 blessings down. So now that those 3 are out of the way, if I can get myself, I think, 3 more perks, which you can see is getting progressively more and more expensive to get, we just outright will win the game. Oh, goody. Portals to Helheim have been opened. Okay. Well, on the map, you can see some big purple blobs, and you can actually see 3 up there just above my army right here. There's a couple more up there. Oh, good. Yes. So, when the time comes, just before winter, 1 Draugr will spawn for each of those, which is obviously a pretty big threat. So, we're going to want to have an army ready to go. I'm going to pick up military strategy, which does give me some extra attack value for each different type of military unit in my warband, which means now I kind of want to diversify and get things like some shield bearers, maybe some skirmishers. I don't really like skirmishers that much. But there we go, now we have a shield bearer. So that should increase my attack value by another 5% for everybody. By the way, did I mention that there is a population limit for your warband itself? Yeah, up by the population in the top right, where I have 43 out of 45, you also now see 6 out of 6. You can only have 2 extra warband members for every military building you build, which means most of the game you realistically will only expect to have somewhere between like 6 and 10 in mid-game. I mean, maybe you could focus on a lot more. Maybe the clan of Fenrir has more. I'm not sure, but yeah, you're not going to have... This is not a very heavy military-focused game in that sense. You're not fielding large armies. You have to be very effective with what few units you do have. By the way, the reason I upgraded my scout camp right there is because that is the only way to explore enemy territory with your scouts. Otherwise, you will not be able to enter their territory, and you just have to sit there repelling them again and again. I'd like to actually be a little bit more proactive and see what they have and also be able to enter their territory and push them back a little bit further if I could. And here come the Draugrs attack. All right, we've already dealt with 1 group. Here comes the second. Should be able to deal with that before we lose anything. And he has a small warband on their way. Makes you wonder if I'm about to be attacked by red. Well, it's winter, which means I get the attack advantage. Oh, he has a much larger group than I thought. Oh, goody. Okay, I'm not sure if my 1 tower is going to be able to handle all 4 of these. Nope, tower goes bye-bye. Frustrating. All right, counterattack. Now, up there to the left, you can see that my attack soured relations with Einar, or whatever his name is. I have no idea how important relations are, since the AI seems to have no objection with attacking me on a whim. If you trade with them, it can increase your standing with them, but I have no idea what benefit that actually gives me, because I've never bothered being peaceful. Also, I've never felt like I'm in a position where I have any resources to sell. I've always felt like that's not enough, so, yeah, I have no idea if that's actually a thing you can do. Maybe if you are smart and diplomatic, you actually can survive by not attacking anybody. Maybe? Uh-oh, I'm not sure I'm going to get here in time. We're going to lose this one. Crud. Gosh dang it. All right, are we going to get there fast enough, or is he going to colonize it, and then I have to... that's like 500 food gone. That's so painful. Again, I don't understand how the AI recovers as well as it does, because, man, it hurts me like heck. Alright, I think we only need one more perk to win the game, so at this point I can afford to be aggressive and I'm really not worried about much. So let's harass the crud out of this guy. Destroy his towers, and let's see how far back we really can push him. If we can at least push into his heartland and start killing a lot of his villagers. I mean, kill, like, you know, just not one troop at a time, but instead actually kill, like, 4 or 5 people. That should hit him pretty hard. Certainly harder than continuous raiding has. There we go. For example, right here, let's push into this. I see 3 traders right there. That's probably where you're making a good chunk of your money. So if we kill that, that should hurt really bad, right? Maybe, I don't know. He keeps spawning faster than I thought you could. Maybe there's a way to build a second town hall, but not that I know of. Well, anyway. That should be about it, and in just a moment, we're going to find that we can get our final perk. So yeah, guys, this is a game of Northrend here. Now, there is a campaign mode in the game. It does have a story. I would say it's a fairly generic storyline, not really a lot unique or exciting about it, but it's not bad by any sense either. It certainly makes for some fun little challenging missions. Let's go ahead and pick up, I don't know, Shield Mastery, and then Ancestral Knowledge, and then boom, we win, right? Yep, that's it. Victory for us. Okay, well, that took about an hour and 15 minutes for a one-on-one skirmish, so again, not exactly a fast game. It does actually give you a nice replay right here, which I've never seen. Believe it or not, I've never actually finished a game of Northgard. I did like 5 test games in preparation for this video, and didn't finish any of them because I would always find myself getting frustrated by losing like one territory, and how the heck am I going to get 500 food back? Just didn't frickin' happen. So there's clearly some stuff that I'm missing from the game, and I actually would like the ability to view the AI and see how the heck they're doing it, because they're recovering far faster than I can, so they must know something I don't. Either that or they're just better at expanding and choosing their provinces. I don't know. Either way, you can see all the skirmishes that happened. A lot of border expansion, a lot of back and forth, but by the end of it, we do indeed win. Northgard, everybody. It is a little bit slower paced than I think some people would be used to, but that's because you have to look at it from a different angle. It is not a quick command and conquer RTS. It is a slower economic macro game with a lot of survival aspects and some skirmishes. The game is currently available on Steam for $30. I think there was actually recently a sale. Not sure how long that sale is going to last. And each individual DLC also costs $5. I will include a Steam link in the description down below if this interests you. I think it's a really good game, guys. It's just a little bit different, but that's not a bad thing. It does broaden out the RTS genre in a good way. Thank you all very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. If so, then I ask that you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. Hit that notify bell if you haven't already. And I will see you guys next time.